I just filmed my NCAA recap. You'll know if you watch that one, because I'm in the same spot with the same shirt on. Shout out Bandit. But one thing that's been weighing heavily on my mind, man, is in the chase of grit and toughness and being the best person we can be, we forget that we're weak. Right? The more you expect yourself to rise to the occasion, the more you'll fail yourself. And how I want you to apply that is, think about, let's say you have to run 50 miles a week. I always talk in running terms. If some of you guys want me to start talking more in philosophical terms, but a lot of things, metaphor works, so running's fine. But if you guys have a problem with that, let me know. But let's say you want to run 50 miles a week, right? And you lock yourself in a room with a treadmill and no phone. I promise you, unless you're hurt, you're going to run that 50 miles a week, because your body, your mind will go to the path of least resistance, right? Now, let's say I lock you in that room with TikTok, right? Or whatever you like. TikTok, a video game, a friend who's a bad influence. I don't think you'll hit that 50 miles, right? It's very, very rare that someone can rise above the situation they put themselves in. I want you guys to apply that in, hey, you're not who you are because you're not good enough. You're not who you want to be because you're treating yourself above what you are. We're all animals. You'll always go to the path of least resistance. I take some pride in being able to run through any, if I was on a cruise, a bunch of my friends, blah, 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 I'm still going to get my runs in. But that's a very unique situation where I'm probably a little bit chemically addicted to the dopamine. And also the mental cost of running is so low when you've done as many miles as me, right? So when people are like, if I want to be great, do I have to have that kind of addiction? No. You have to treat the little gerbil in your brain to what it can handle. Hey, my phone is going to be off from 6 a.m. to noon. I want to run in that time. Maybe that doesn't work. My phone is off from 6 a.m. to noon and I won't leave this room with a treadmill. I won't go inside. I'll put my running shoes on and I have to stand outside. The main message here is, don't think you're not the superhuman Hercules that you see on the TV. The people who end up like that treated themselves like gerbils, or they built these crazy habits when they're young, which is just irrelevant to you because it'll never happen now. For example, Mozart never sucked at composing because he started composing at 3 years old, right? He's saying he's composing before he can say goo goo gaga. And so there's some part of you that might think, I'll never be as good as Mozart. Why even allow that train of thought? Work within the framework you have. Okay, I'm not 3 years old. I do fail. I don't have the habit. I have to build it. I have to start where I am. There's a quote that's popular right now. Be where you are, be where your feet are, right? There's no point in thinking about what you could do if you were someone else. What can you do when you're you, right? And maybe you are rich, right? You can pay some money to get that brick so you don't use your phone. Maybe you are poor. Okay, you can't afford an iPhone. That's obviously a bad thing in some ways, but it's an advantage because you're not on TikTok all day. These are obviously very niche examples, but if you can't tell, the chair broke. So I'm just kind of hanging out here. I don't want to move the spot. We can move. No, we're not moving. Count your blessings, count your curses, turn them into blessings. I would say I'm worse than anybody at naturally being good at a lot of things, but I'm really good at practicing now because of that. So I would say I'm better than most people at learning things, which has led to my mindset, hey, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I suck at this, but I can get better. I suck at this, but I can get better. I don't have good focus, but I can cut out distractions. But to summarize, the big quote is, you won't rise to the occasion, you'll fall to the level of your training. You're not going to rise to who you hope you are. You're going to fall to the gerbil brain that we have, and you're going to do the easiest thing for yourself, which typically is numbing yourself, TikTok, whatever, not running, doing drugs, whatever you guys do. So you have to do something, it has to be the lowest thing, the easiest thing you have available to you, right? Think about it like how water flows. Water's not going to flow uphill. The lowest point has to be where you want the water to be. And if that means taking your phone off, giving it to someone, it's unreasonable stuff. It comes down to what you want to do has to be the lowest thing on the easiest thing for your mind to do, or it will never do it. I try and I hope this isn't too philosophical. I try and give practical stuff, but that's one thing I've learned. The more I expect myself to rise to the occasion, the more I falter. The more I'm like, hey, like, you're an animal who's gotten ready for this race, who's put yourself in the position where the work is the easiest thing you can do. I do the work. I do well in the race. Yeah, I want to shift a little bit away from running stuff, running examples, even though obviously I'm still a runner. But it's harder to relate for other people who don't run when I just talk about 50 miles a week.